For our second presentation, we would like to welcome Hiroshima Jogakuin High School, Senior High School from Hiroshima, Japan.
Hello everyone, I'm Honoka.
I'm Anju.
We are from Hiroshima Jogakuin Senior High School.
Don't give up. Keep pushing. See the light, crawl towards it.
Setsuko Saro said these words at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony last year. On August 6, 1945, she was just a 13-year-old student of our school when Hiroshima was attacked by the atomic bomb.
She was knocked unconscious. After Setsuko Saro regained consciousness, she felt someone touching her shoulder and heard the voice of a man. Don't give up. Keep pushing. See the light, crawl towards it as quickly as possible.
She managed to survive, but 351 of her schoolmates and teachers did not. Whenever she makes a speech, she informs people that the figure of 351 is not only the number of the dead, but also people who had names and lives.
Thanks to the tireless effort of the Hibakusha, on July 7th, the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons was adopted by 122 countries.
Many people seem to have forgot what happened. Japan hadn't joined the TPNW, even though Japan is the only country that has been attacked by a nuclear weapon. We think this is because many people don't have an interest or lack the knowledge of how terrible nuclear weapons are.
According to the TV news program Hodo Station, 57% of Japanese people support the treaty, while 43% don't support it or don't understand it.
Although these numbers are not low, we think more people, especially in Japan, should support nuclear abolition. Do people really care?
An NHK poll of Japanese citizens in 2015 showed the percentage of people who knew when Hiroshima was attacked by the atomic bomb was just 29.5%, and for Nagasaki, only 25.6%.
As we all know, Hibakusha are aging year by year, and according to the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, the average age is 81. Through this research, we can understand that we are the last generation to learn from Hibakusha directly.
How can we spread the thoughts of the Hibakusha in the future?
How can we, the younger generation, broaden the circle of sympathy all over the world? According to Dr. Robert Jacobs, a professor at Hiroshima City University, the Non-Proliferation Treaty has not rid the world of nuclear weapons. In fact, since the NPT started in 1970, more countries have nuclear weapons, and the nuclear weapon states have not followed the rules by giving up the weapons they had at that time.
Looking at the success of the Convention on Cluster Munitions in 1997 and the anti-personnel landmine ban in 2008, NGOs dedicated to the abolition of nuclear weapons cooperated with the United Nations, international organizations, governments, and civil society to start the Humanitarian Initiative conferences in 2013 and 2014.
In 2016, the open-ended working group consisting of 103 nations proposed to start the negotiation of a document that has a legally binding force to abolish nuclear weapons.
In 2017, the negotiation of TPNW started, and on July 7th, it was finally accepted by 122 countries.
Earlier this month, Professors Hirohumi Tosaki and Wakana Mukai stated in a lecture at our school that it is recognized there are various views of this result, but that the polarization between the nuclear weapon states and the nuclear umbrella states and the non-nuclear weapon states has grown.
Although there is a widening gap between these two groups, we should take notice of the connection that NGOs have continued to support hibakusha, not just in Japan, but across the world.
Rekna states that the TPNW is a historical turning point. The existing nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation treaties were mainly formed by NWS. The TPNW is the result of the feelings of the hibakusha passed along to civil society who acted on their behalf.
Now, the countries recognized as nuclear weapon states in the NPT and India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. Along with Japan, South Korea, and Australia are some of the countries under the nuclear umbrella of the USA, did not vote for the treaty. There seems to be a growing polarization between the NWS and NNWS.
At this point, because of the security pacts with NWS, nuclear umbrella states cannot get out of the nuclear umbrella and they cannot suggest the abolition of nuclear weapons, as they are protected by nuclear deterrence. It is impossible for them to say that NWS should give up the nuclear weapons and accept the Japan Treaty. However, hibakusha and the NGOs protest strongly against this situation. The Japanese government has not changed its way of thinking, and the gap between civil society and our government has deepened.
Is there a solution to fill this gap?
Yes, we, the civil society, cannot give up, but we must keep raising our voices until our countries listen to the people and accept the TPNW.
Our school has worked on various peace movements. Of those, we will introduce one activity of a class and one of a club.
First, global issues. It's called GI. In this class, we learn about the various nuclear issues, including the history, the current situation, treaties, and the future of disarmament. We learn not only the inhumane aspects, but also about the industry and the science of nuclear weapons, so that we could acquire a broader view of the nuclear industry. This class is taught in English, so students can explain about the nuclear weapons to people all over the world.
One important point we studied about is global hibakusha. Many people all over the world are suffering from exposure to radiation from testing. These people, like the hibakusha in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, have suffered for too long.
As it states in Article 7 of the treaty, countries that have tested or used nuclear weapons are responsible for economic assistance to help victims. These hibakusha are still suffering today in places like the Marshall Islands and the Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. Many people all over the world are not aware of the difficulties they continue to struggle with.
Second, the signature collecting committee is a group of students at our school trying to raise awareness of nuclear weapons. As our name says, we collect signatures. We brought some here today. Please sign them during the break at the front of the desk. Guide people around the Peace Park and record testimonies of the hibakusha for the website Hiroshima Archive.
Since 2007, Okinawa Shogaku Senior High School and Eishin Junior and Senior High School have joined the 2020 Vision Action, collecting signatures to ask for the early conclusion of the TPNW by all countries.
We have collected about 520,000 signatures already. Every year, we submit them to the UN. We recognize that these small actions could lead to a nuclear-free world.
Jogakuin students led tours of the Peace Park started in 1982. We explain the meaning and history of monuments to students and teachers from other prefectures and countries.
Hiroshima Archive is a pluralistic website that puts hibakusha's testimonies on the internet, like this. This is a digital Earth on the internet. Icons of the hibakusha were mapped where they were attacked by the atomic bomb. Clicking on a picture, we can read or watch testimonies. In 2010, this committee was given the opportunity to work with Dr. Hidenori Watanabe from the University of Tokyo. Reading and watching their stories help us learn the hibakusha, noble feelings of endurance and forgiveness. We can also look at pictures of Hiroshima before and after the atomic bombing. Recently, people can submit messages and share ideas of peace. Now, we are able to see colorized versions of pictures taken after the bomb was dropped. This technology was developed by a research group headed by Dr. Hiroshi Ishikawa. From this website, we can realize the connection of the past and present.
In order to do this, we contact hibakusha and explain about our work, and ask them to talk about the experiences of the atomic bomb. After recording, we edit the 2-hour video to 20 minutes, and then we map where the hibakusha were exposed to radiation and upload the video. Please Google the Hiroshima Archive website after this presentation.
In June last year, when we were collecting signatures in the Peace Park, I met Mr. Tokuso Hamai, who once lived in the Nakajima district. That is now the Peace Park. It's called Nakajima-cho today. There were many stores, theaters, restaurants, and so on. And many people lived normal, everyday lives, as we do today. His father ran a barber shop, and we can see his family in the animation movie in this corner of the world. Although he survived because of evacuation, all his family members died. He has many precious pictures of his everyday life. For example, his picture with his older brother in front of the building named the A-bomb Dome today. Even though the war happened 73 years ago, for many people, it is still very real.
Finally, we'd like to suggest 3 action plans to broaden the circle of empathy and compassion all over the world.
First, how about starting your own signature collecting campaign? Punahou High School has joined us. You can use our prospectus as a guide and make it your own. By doing this, we believe that you can raise the awareness of nuclear weapons to people in your community. This activity is something high school students can do.
Please send the petitions back to us so we can take them to the UN. We are encouraged by the young people taking action against guns. This year, on February 14th, a terrible shooting incident happened in Florida and 70 students were killed. From this incident, high school students across America have been conducting protests. They boycott classes and demand gun control.
On March 24th, young people throughout the world stood up to take action in the March for Our Lives. We have been watching this closely and hope it continues. We recognize that the voices of civil society have a strong power to move the world.
Second, how about holding a peace forum? Hiroshima Jogakuin holds a peace forum on August 6th and 7th every year. At the peace forum, participants think about what we can do for a world without nuclear weapons. 9 years ago, it started just as an exchange with Punahou High School, who is here with us today. Last year, Punahou, Nagasaki Higashi, and Kansai Soka all took part in this forum. 2 years ago, we discussed the NPT with Ms. Toki, and last year's theme was NGO's role in a nuclear-free world.
We research about the theme and deepen our knowledge about nuclear disarmament. Furthermore, on the day, we discuss with other students to find a new point of view. What is more, we gain a common understanding to work for a nuclear-free world, and our understanding of nuclear abolition rises.
Therefore, we'd like to suggest that you hold your own peace forum in your school. How about starting with the theme of the TPNW? If you hold it, the interest of your participants toward nuclear abolition may rise. You don't have to invite many people. As I mentioned before, we started with only Punahou. If you would like to join this conference with our school, please keep in touch with us.
Finally, we would like to introduce the Earth Ball made by Hobonichi Japan. This Earth Ball is like a beach ball, so we can bring it anywhere easily.
Holding our smartphones or tablets over the Earth Ball and using the application, we can get very interesting information from around the world.
Here's the flags, and here's the nuclear weapon states in orange and those protected under the umbrella in yellow. Also, you can see the green nuclear-free zones.
We are also able to make our own Earth. How? For example, we can choose a nuclear-free world.
First, opening the app on your smartphone, we can customize the world we want to look at. Second, using pictures and comparing Earth Ball 1, NWS and umbrella states with Earth Ball 2, a future without nuclear weapons. How do you feel?
We think we can make a nuclear-free world ourselves like this. Using new technology and elements of art, we can increase the number of young people who are interested in peace.
73 years have passed since Hiroshima and Nagasaki were attacked by nuclear weapons. Communicating with Hibakusha, we learned their noble feelings of endurance and forgiveness. They are aging year by year. We believe we have a mission to continue spreading the reality of the atomic bombing and their thoughts so that people never again have the same suffering.
Using new means of conveying the message of the Hibakusha, such as movies, animation, social media, and websites like Hiroshima Archive, we would like more people to think about peace and broaden the circle of empathy and compassion all over the world.
It is very difficult for us to abolish nuclear weapons, but we, the younger generation, must never give up and have to continue pushing the government toward accepting the TPNW and have to continue and for a world without nuclear weapons. Raising people's awareness by collecting signatures or having a peace forum is some of the idea.
The TPNW is the light we are crawling towards and the beginning of the end of nuclear weapons.
We, the civil society, can realize a nuclear-free world like this Earth Ball in the near future. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Do you have English version of the Hobonichi and the Hibakusha archive? Do you have English version of Hobonichi, the
Yeah.
Earth Ball and Hibakusha archive?
Oh, and now it is sold in Japan, but I think English version will be sold in the future, near future. So please wait a little. I have the QR code for the application, so please ask me and put the application for your smartphone. So please put the smartphone and we can see the various articles. So please ask me after the CIF presentation.